it makes it difficult when we're all trying to force ourselves into boxes that we don't fit in. So that's the whole idea. That's the idea of the podcast. Welcome to my podcast, Fuck Your Box, with me, Erin Jones. Brought to you by Erin's Universe. Build your wings. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Fuck Your Box. I am Erin. I will be your host. I thought I would take this opportunity to make the first episode kind of explaining what I believe this podcast is going to end up being. The first thing to talk about that is probably the name. So Fuck Your Box is basically referring to society's like box, like that everybody wants to put you into based on whatever societal norms that apply to you and everything along those lines. So that's the box that I'm talking about when I say fuck your box. And I also, with that name and with the title, I decided it would be really helpful to clarify immediately that, first of all, not only do I not fit in a box, and I refuse to fit in a box, I completely reject the box in the first place. And I think a lot of us in today's world understand that pretty well, and also want to make it make sense somehow. Anyway, so the idea is to completely reject the box because I don't even care about the box in the first place anymore. So in that way, it helps to clarify my intent and my thoughts. Also, putting the word fuck in the title gives hopefully a pretty clear picture that I believe that cussing is better than saying like and so often. So I say fuck more often than I say like or and that's always been the way that I thought it would be fun, or not really that I thought it would be fun necessarily, but that I've always used those words, and I've always hated that whole idea of people being like, oh my gosh, no, the children. And I have a child who has heard those words her whole life, and it hasn't harmed her. She is perfectly fine with the idea that she's not allowed to say those words yet. And that's a whole other conversation. But on that, I figured it would be really helpful to just make sure that everybody knows before they even come in here that you're going to be probably frequently barraged with cussing, and that's how I talk a lot of the time, so it works out. Anyway, basically, back to the box. I've always been kind of not been able to fit into most boxes, in as much as I've been diagnosed with ADHD, or no, I'm sorry, I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I self-diagnosed ADHD. I'm pretty sure a lot of the reasons why I have struggled so hard in my life to fit in the box that everybody was trying to put me into, the way that I was able to cope with that, well, the way that I was not able to cope with that is the fact that I learned to hate myself for being incapable of fitting into the box that I was told to fit into. And so I tried anyway. I mean, I spent most of my life trying as hard as I could to do all the things that everybody thinks that you're just supposed to do. The normal things, well, as you know, as we get older, the adult things. But even as a child, like I had struggled always with all of the normal things. I was really good at like alphabetizing my stuff, and I read books constantly. I was really good at that. I was really good at drawing. And so those things were great, but at the same time, those aren't the things that everybody uses to verify that you are doing well or are a useful human being. And so in that case, I kind of leaned into my art for most of my life, and so everybody has always called me weird or something along those lines, and I honestly I think it's kind of funny is because a lot of the time I would pretend to be normal-ish, and I would spend a lot of time wearing normal looking clothes and wearing my hair like normal looking people and blah, 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 blah. And so as I could fit visually most of the time, for the fact that I'm a little white girl, I usually fit into most spaces pretty easily, visually. And so I think that the cool thing that happened was just recently, I stopped being able to do that because I got a lot of visible tattoos. And so now, and it's so funny is because tattoos, like everybody's like, oh, don't get them on your hands or your face or your neck, because, you know, then you can never cover them up and blah, 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 blah. And the whole idea is so you can still fit in. So you can pretend that you fit in the box even after you get tattoos. And the first tattoo that I got, the first two tattoos that I got are these music notes on my hands that are clearly visible all the time. And I didn't really understand what I was doing, although I absolutely loved it. I didn't quite grasp that I had permanently forced it to be that I can never again fit visually into the box. And honestly, now that I understand that a little better, and I've gotten so many tattoos, I'm actually even more certain about the idea that I'm going to get something on my face, probably right above my eyebrow. But I'm also going to get butterflies on the side of my head. I'm going to shave the sides of my head again eventually, soon, probably, hopefully. And then when I shave the sides of my head, I'll be able to do a butterfly tattoo with the wings going back into my scalp. And then that'll still be one that you can cover up technically again. But at the same time, like, all these warnings that I've heard as I've been getting tattoos have started to kind of click, that what everybody's saying is, hey, you're not going to be able to look like you fit in the box anymore. And I mean, who am I kidding? I've never fit in that box. I've never been able to even pretend to, but like I said, visually, I have set myself a little further apart from that possibility permanently, which I think is pretty exciting, honestly, because I think the only way to fully be able to accept ourselves as we are is to reject the fucking box. Like, to completely say, I don't give a shit about any boxes. And even if that's the one that everybody's told me to do my whole life, that doesn't matter anymore. So another thing that's been really cool lately is I finally decided to go back to school for art, which was a huge thing for me, because as I went through my whole life, even though I knew I couldn't fit in the boxes, I still had this belief that, oh, if I just work hard enough, I go to college, I do all the things, I'll get a great job, and then I'll just be good for the rest of my life. And so I actually originally went in for architecture, and because that was a way to incorporate art into a real job, and that real job never came through because it is stupid expensive to pay out-of-state tuition in another state, because they don't offer architecture through the University of Alaska, which is where I was going for my general requirements. But regardless of that, I got partway through my architecture degree, and then I wasn't able to pay anymore, and the loans didn't cover it. So I quit going to school. I ended up going back to a trade school type thing, a technical school that I got a degree in drafting. And so I was able to go into cabinets professionally. And that was great, except for I fucking hate cabinets. I mean, it's fun to build things in real life, but sitting on a computer and drawing up the same freaking boxes over and over and over, and oh, this box is a little bigger, and this box is a little smaller. Like, I don't give a shit about the fucking boxes. There's no, which is hilarious. Okay. Which I actually hadn't really realized ties in so well to the concept of this show, fuck your box. Because fuck those boxes. Because for real. So I love art though, and I always wanted to do art, but everybody always said, oh yeah, well, the only way you're ever going to be able to get, like, the only way an artist ever makes money is after they're dead or some shit. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I'm like, I don't, obviously, you know, like, I spent a lot of my life thinking that was the thing, and I just kind of let that sit on the side and be like, oh, I'll just do art when I want to, or when I can, which is not that often when you are a single mother or with a full-time job. All these things make it very difficult to do much art on the side, but I did anyway. I've always, every time I ever have a waking moment, I'm doing some kind of art. So that on the other hand, that is actually another aspect of Erin's universe that I am going to expand upon, because I sell art, I create art and I sell it, but one of the things that I think is another idea is I want to start making videos about my individual art pieces, and so that's something to look out for. But back to the boxes. And so I went to, I started working in cabinets. I worked in cabinets for the last 10 or some odd years, some crazy amount of years, longer than I ever wanted to. And I ended up, so I'm still doing that for my primary source of income. But those boxes, cabinet boxes, I hate boxes. But back to, I finally decided to go back to school. Finally decided to go back to school for art, which is hilarious because I've literally been creating art for my entire life. And like literally, I don't remember a time that I wasn't drawing. And I have gotten to this point where I have developed incredible skill through practice, like constant practice of all art forms. But I developed that skill, but I developed an intuitive understanding of art. So I got stuff and I understood what worked and what didn't work and why, but I didn't understand why. That was the problem, is like, and honestly, actually, the first thing that I did in my architecture class was not understand anything about art. And they probably expected you to have like some art background, and, but I didn't understand any of the technicalities and the words and the logic behind it. Even though I understood that intuitively, I couldn't say, oh, these colors work together because they're complementaries. I didn't even know that. And I mean, I knew it. I'd heard that part, like I heard complementary colors before, but I never understood it. And so anyway, so going back to school, finally, for the first time in my life, going to school, and I am an art major, which is such a huge deal to me because I just can't describe how amazing that is. I've never done anything that was just for me. I've always been striving toward these ideals that other people have put into my mind along the way, or society itself, you know, like wherever that comes from, it came and it ended up convincing me that this was the right path. And then all of a sudden I woke up 36 years old, realizing that I didn't care what the right path was anymore because I didn't want to go down it anymore. And so I went back to school for art, and that's been extremely exciting for all of this process, but it's also helped me lean into art so much because I've always done art, like I said, but now I'm like having to make things and having to paint, and I'm required to build sculptures and all kinds of things. And it's been such an amazing experience, but it also has started me realizing like just nobody fits in the box that's in art, for sure. Like I mean, but at the same time, like it it gave me a space to like be able to just be completely myself and not feel like, oh man, I'm doing this wrong, or just like artists, the artists, especially in one of my classes that one of my most recent classes, one of my favorite classes was a painting class, but like everybody in the class, I ended up with everybody's phone number almost, and we all still keep in touch, and they're just some of the coolest, chillest people, but they're also totally not your typical accepted person in normal everyday life, because everybody judges. And anyway, I'm really excited about this new space that I've found within the art community, and I really I feel like I'm finally heading in the right direction in my life. And so here we are. I decided to make a new podcast, and this was I've been always wanting to make a podcast, so I'm finally making one, which I'm pretty excited about, even though I'm terrible at it, so don't mind me. In the beginning, it's going to be awful, I'm sure, but at the same time, I think that this is going to be an amazing experience, and I'm hoping to bring some guests in. I actually I have a good friend that I believe will be creating an episode with me at least once. We'll see how that goes and how he's comfortable with it. But I am thinking of all the things that I want to do with this, and like I said, I honestly, so a little bit about Erin's Universe, just because I feel like I threw it into the intro and the outro just to make clear that Erin's Universe is my overarching name for everything that I do artistically, and just everything that I do. It's my business name. It's everything. So Erin's Universe came about because I don't fit in a box. That's the freaking answer. Okay, I don't fit in a box, and everybody's like, "Oh, you need to niche down, and you need to do this, and you need to do that." And I'm like, I can't. I fucking can't. And as much as I want to, like I could, and I could spend all my time working on just one simple idea, and that's great. But at the same time, the more I try to niche down, the more I realize that I have too many things. So instead of doing, oh, this is Erin's artwork, no, this might be Erin's music, or Erin's videos, or Erin's blah, 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 blah. There's like 1,000 different things that I feel like that I'm constantly creating. I also write books. So all of these things come together as one in Erin's Universe. And I feel like it's a really helpful title, but also so vague that nobody knows what it is until I explain it, obviously. But that's okay, because that's gonna be the overarching thing. It's just like, there's no reason to limit myself, to niche down like that. I feel like is so counterproductive for me personally, just because I have so many ideas that I'm constantly working on. And it's probably the ADHD, I don't know. But I am the most productive when I'm jumping from one thing to the other. Like I can finish 17 paintings in a day if I just let myself move from the thing to thing to thing to thing to thing as I go. It's whatever. So I decided a long time ago that I was gonna brand my business as just me, just me. It's all of me, but it's me. And, hence Erin's Universe. But I also, there's so many things that I'm eventually going to do. So this podcast is one of the big ideas that I've had lately, which is a lot about, like I said, rejecting boxes. And so there's going to be probably a lot of different talk about which kinds of boxes, and there's so many things that I feel like are important in the world, and literally everything around us tries to shove us in a box somehow. Like even one of the other things I've been doing at school lately is I've also decided, like, yes, I'm going in as an art major, but I'm thinking about minoring in music. And so here's the thing. It's hard to minor in music, or even it's hard to do much in music in college if you've never taken a music class in your life. Yep, I did that. So I'm not even taking like an instrument. I'm taking music theory, which, if you're unfamiliar with music theory, it's basically the math behind music. And so it's like all the complicated technical stuff. And that stuff is just overwhelming when you've never taken a music class. And like one of my teachers for and of course, music theory can't just be music theory. I can't just take one music class and make that be enough. No, in order to take that class, I must pair it with an ear training class. And so that's like a university requirement, which it makes sense, but I feel like it could have, it's just a lot for me, and that's okay, because I've not done music at all in my life. I honestly didn't know how to read notes. So now I know how to read notes really, really well. But going into music and being completely unprepared is just been awful. But I managed to make it through with a C last semester, which is very exciting. And it's funny is because I've been rejecting perfectionism, rejecting the perfectionism box, and that includes having been a straight A student my whole life. All of a sudden, I'm in these classes that are not made for me, because they are made for people who've been doing music their whole life. So all these classes that I'm taking are extremely difficult, and I am allowing myself to be proud of myself for getting a C, instead of being like, oh, that's not good enough. No, that's good enough. I didn't fail, which was incredible, because I definitely almost failed. I tried really, really hard not to fail, but I was really close, so close. Oh, it was scary. So coming through with a C was freaking incredible. But my music teacher took me aside, my ear training teacher took me aside and said, you are gonna struggle in this class. You're gonna have a really hard time, mostly because everybody in this class has been playing an instrument their entire lives. So they're like, yeah, you're not gonna probably do very well. And I just decided that was okay, because it is okay. And I didn't do very well, and that was just fine with me. But I did amazing for the fact that I almost failed. So anyway, the point is that even classes like that, like even first semester music theory classes, they expect you to be from a box. They expect you to be in a particular box, and that box will help you get into the next box. And I was like, this sucks, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And then I did it, and I got through the C. So this semester I'm taking the second class of all of those, of both of those classes, which has been extremely difficult as well. And I've been struggling a lot with it, but at the same time, I'm getting so amazingly good at understanding music, which is fucking incredible because I love music. And honestly, like the fact that I decided to go and take a music class, after spending my entire life telling myself I wasn't good enough or I wasn't prepared enough. I hadn't done any music before, so of course I wouldn't be able to learn music. And I had finally tried to teach myself to play violin, which was a huge thing for me. A lot of my struggles with violin was also that I couldn't read music. So it's pretty exciting that I can read music again. So I really enjoy learning music, and I'm really excited to be able to start doing music and making music, ideally, eventually. We'll see how that goes. But so eventually this podcast, or whatever podcast I may be doing at the time, or if I decide to evolve this podcast and keep it around forever, or move into different topics, but I feel like this topic, or not topic, but this general theme is going to be never ending, and I hope there's stays around for a long time. Basically, so anyway, so ideally, that was a long random tangent, but the idea is that eventually I'll have my own personal music written to do intros to podcasts and such. So that'll be an idea. That's a fun thing to move toward. I definitely find it freeing to learn things that I've always told myself I wasn't good enough to do. So if there's something that you've been thinking about learning but haven't gotten around to, or have decided that it's not good enough, or you know what I mean, if you ever think about that, definitely do it, and do it soon. It doesn't matter. It's so fulfilling to finally do the thing that you have always wanted to do, and yet held yourself back for some reason or another. I know, I feel like that's a really common tune that a lot of people sing to, and it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult when we're all trying to force ourselves into boxes that we don't fit in. So that's the whole idea. That's the idea of the podcast, and that's the reason why we're going to be doing this. I'm primarily planning on doing YouTube or video podcasts, so I'll be posting on YouTube for sure. hopefully I'll be able to figure out all the other platforms and all the other things. So, but at the same time, hopefully it'll work out. Anyway, I guess that's my hopes and dreams for this podcast. I figured I'd give a little introduction, make this my episode 1, and I think that's it. All right. Well, just remember, fuck that box. Fuck the box. We don't want any boxes. Thank you so much for your support, and this has been brought to you by Erin's Universe. Follow us on other social media platforms, and like, follow, and share this video.